Travis, no, no, not again. He's back.
You haven't done
Oh
that for a
God.
while. You coughing on your deliciously
I got
seasoned popcorn?
no, I got some post nasal drips. Well, I got a
Oh,
cold.
right. I forgot you were. Are you still sick or are you feeling better?
It's funny during the days I feel fine, but at night as soon as you lie down, when you have like that type of cold where you feel fine, but then as soon as you lie down, you can't breathe out of your nose and you have to
Yeah.
like mouth
Yeah.
breathe all
Literally,
night.
dude.
That's where I'm at right
And
now.
the
So
worst is if you try to like clear it out, it
literally,
just irritates it more, and the nose lining gets thicker and lets you breathe less. And it's
it's
like you
terrible.
can't. It's like quicksand.
I have
It's so
no
annoying.
solution for it. It's really fucking annoying. I really just
Nose
want to be able to
solution.
breathe out of my nose.
And people
Um,
don't realize when you're Jewish, as a Jewish guy, when you guys get sick, it's even worse because the nose.
it's
You guys,
terrible
you're dealing with it on the flu times
on
two.
every level. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's horrendous. And I actually haven't had a cold in a long time. And
Me neither, dude. And I know just talking about this, you've jinxed me to get like AIDS in the next week.
I
I
it
get,
must
because
be the
that's how my body
season.
works, dude.
I know. It must be the season though, because I've actually seen like a few other people randomly online say like, I woke up with a cold or something like that, and I'm like, I wonder if it's just flu season or I don't know what. But the worst part about having a cold is that I don't know what it is, but I cannot just sit still. And so like my girlfriend will always just be like, just rest, just sleep, just don't
Yeah.
just have soup and sleep. If you work out, if you go outside, if you do any of that bullshit, you're just gonna make it last
Well, in
longer.
theory, working out is supposed to maybe make like my Venezuelan triathlete buddy, but this is like bro science. But he
I think
was
it's
of the
bro
opinion
science.
that it is supposed to aid you.
That's what I always say, but the last time that I got a cold, I I was like, oh, let me just go sweat it out. And I had like a crazy workout day at the gym and it made it so much worse. I ended
Yeah.
up like feeling horrendous that night, totally like burnt myself out. So I was told myself I wasn't going to do that this time, but I'm also like I just get stir crazy. Like I still have been going out and like going for a walk
Bruh,
or sitting outside. I have to do
that's
something.
like I'm kind of unless it's like a really bad like can't get out
Mhm.
of bed sickness, then I'm like, all right, I'll take the L. But I'm the same way, dude. I get that from my dad. My dad is like the genetic titan, bro. Like this dude. So in America, you're a total if you
Uh-huh.
don't skip work. I think we've talked about that on a pod. Like skip as much work as you can.
Yeah, you absolutely
Call
should.
off the company.
Uh-huh.
I mean, screw the company. Damn it.
Hmm. Mm.
Eh, but like my dad in Saudi was completely different because he was as a kid. I was like, I never understood. He was so proud. The man worked 50 years, 40 to 50 years in Saudi,
Uh-huh.
didn't miss a single day.
It
And
is
it's like,
crazy.
but as a kid growing up, I'm like, dude, cucked for the company. But then he was like, no, dude, like I would. They have an award for if you don't miss. Like they
Hmm.
literally like double your pay if you don't miss any. And it's like,
That's
bro,
worth it
if
then.
America did that, yeah, I wouldn't. I'd be
That's
in
worth it.
every shift. I'd be like, boom, boom, this is worth it. But
Well, there's also just people that love to work, you know what I mean? Which sounds so foreign sometimes to me because, but
well, I'd say you
I,
love to work. I
I
mean, or
do feel
you're
that
looking
way
at it a different
now.
way.
Well, I know.
Exactly, exactly.
Like when I was working a job,
No, I
I
wanted
hate,
to end
I
it,
would
dude.
end everything and end it
Literally,
all.
yeah.
But yeah, no, but now like I literally wake up and I draw before I do anything, before I go to the gym or eat or anything.
That's
I
why I
just wake
call it
up and
because you
start
were
doing
like
it.
right before we started recording, we showered and I texted
Uh-huh.
you and I was like, "Are you good?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm drawing." And I was like, "Did this is this dude draw through the shower time that we
No,
agreed on?" But
no, I did take a shower. I'm all clean, but
I'm post sweat mode, bro. I'm dying.
but you did shower, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been trying to do this thing, but I'm. It's supposed to be good for your pores and your hair. You have such beautiful skin and hair. I'm sure you do this, but
Oh,
like when
thank
the
you.
shower ends, crank it to cold.
I do that. Yeah, I do that.
I didn't crank it far enough, so I'm still having a little bit of the residual like
Oh, I
warm
got you.
sweaty man hair.
I
Yeah.
usually, if I'm showering in the morning, I do that. I do the cold thing because it also kind of just like, clears the sinuses, kind of like wakes you
Yeah,
up a
yeah.
bit, perks you up. But if I'm going to bed, like if I'm showering before bed, I don't do it because I want to feel
No,
like
no, because
nice
the
and like
plus the warm
cozy.
water is like you're ready to pass out. It's
Yeah,
like you
I'm
just
like
ate
it's
a six
soothing
course Popeyes meal
for
and you're
sure,
ready to drop. Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Uh, dude, well, timetable's a little interesting because we're supposed to record with Vosh today. I think we're also going to record
He's
with him
currently
later.
asleep. Which,
And
by the way, I texted because we're upgrading Zoom officially.
I'm very excited
We
for
got
that.
some big stuff coming down. We've kind of alluded to it, but I think it was more in the Patreon episodes. But I'm moving cross country. Harris is looking into potentially moving or moving into a new place. So
Yep.
we've both been up to our eyeballs. Um, oh, but I was texting because that was the point of this. We're upgrading Zoom, so you guys are gonna be able to see our beautiful faces a little bit crispier. I think
Yes.
starting next month.
And even though this episode might be out of order, this is actually the first episode that we'll be recording since we've broken 2000 on the
Which
Patreon as
is,
well,
dude, you
which
guys
is
rock.
amazing.
It's weird to feel like we're celebrating because it's almost like it's a celebration of you guys for
Yes.
letting us continue to make stuff. I mean,
It's absolutely amazing. Like
it's
I
awesome.
mean, it's crazy just like that hitting those little goals like that, like along the way. I mean, that's not a little goal, that's a big goal, but like hitting those like stepping stones along the way, it's what keeps you going. You know, it's like it keeps
Yeah.
me going. Like we'll have a week or sometimes I'll have like 2 weeks where I'm like, did I accomplish anything that I wanted to accomplish this week? You know, did I see any like improvement? And but sometimes you get those wins, and it's all thanks to you guys, and it just feels like
Yeah.
amazing. Like
It's I mean, dude, Olive Garden. It's family, baby. The
it's all
Discord is
family.
family. I love it. What was my
Um.
point? Oh, I was doing a little rip on our sister podcast, Thought Cops, but
Oh,
I
what
was I
happened
was
with them?
texting Grant about an hour ago,
Uh-huh.
which is funny because I had only woken up an hour before that. You know, I'd woken up at 6 and I got a little work done. Then I went back to bed. I was kind of
Hmm.
tired. But I was texting Grant and he said, "Bro, don't tell anyone this. It's so embarrassing, but I'm just waking up." And yeah, I was like, "Bro, you're talking to the right guy.
Yeah, it's like,
You're
buddy.
talking to the human bear."
It's
Also,
like-
I was like, to make him feel better, I was like, "Vosh is also sleeping right now. We're waiting on him." And he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, okay."
Oh, okay, we're good. Yeah, I mean, I actually wish I had that gene. I literally am at a point where my eyes shoot open, my eyelids shoot open at
Well,
7:30, and I
what's
cannot
that?
go back to bed.
What's that joke? All the Jews that were kind of able to sleep and were calm and weren't, nervous about things are probably dead.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean? Like, I think
probably
genetically your brain is wired to like,
it's
son,
probably true. I'm
stay
like,
awake. Well, look,
yeah,
look, any
it's
danger, danger.
it's true though. I get up in the morning and I can't go back to bed. I'm immediately like, and if I do go back to bed, I end up sleeping for like 3 more hours, which just throws my
It's no good. You
entire
can
day out
never.
of
It's
control.
such a cliche, but you never. You always tell yourself just 10 more minutes, and
Yeah, 10
it's
more minutes.
always like 2 to 3
It
after.
never happens. And
But
so
sometimes you need it, bro. I mean, I was watching a Destiny stream last night because he was debating someone. It was
you
pretty
still doing that?
interesting. What I tune into him and Vosh because in my head one day you and me are gonna
Bring
be
them
like bring
together.
Israel and Palestine together.
I've never spoken to Destiny before, but I'm surprised he's still doing. I know the debate thing is like kind of it's his MO, right? He kind of like invented that, but I don't know. I feel like all the debate stuff is a
It's
little
played
like
out a little bit.
it's a little passe
I
at
was
this point.
feeling that because he was on. Your best friend was on there, Brianna Wu. But
Okay.
that's part of the reason I tuned in because it was like I was looking at all these people who are like, I'm getting older now too, so this might be a little contradictory, but it was like
Hmm.
these people were all at least 6 or 7 years older than us, mid 30s,
Okay.
arguing about this dumb shit that they have no control over and that they'll never be a part of, and it was like
I know.
it gave me this, dude. This is such like a up my own. This is so pseudo philosophical. It's
Hmm.
meaningless. I'm about to say something I think is intelligent, but is probably very dumb. But it's like
Let's hear it.
I really think the Plato's cave allegory.
I do.
If you see yourself as a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal, blah blah blah, you're still in the cave. You're still looking at shadow puppets, and you're
Uh-huh.
an idiot. And
You
if
need to
you
look at yourself as a monkey.
yeah, and get out of the cave, go get some bananas. Like if you're above the age of 20 and you're still like, and don't get me wrong, there's obviously like with any scenario like this, there's outliers. Okay, so like if there's some bills coming in that are like very anti-trans. Okay, if
Sure.
you want to rally about something like that, obviously I get that, or vice versa. Say they're trying to kill the Second Amendment, blah blah blah, shoot
Hmm.
government officials, blah blah blah. But yeah, I just if you're anyone listening to this, bro, like your life will drastically improve if you start focusing on yourself. And I don't mean that in an Ayn Randian way. You know, some of you will look
Mm-hmm.
at it as an Ayn Randian way, as in you, I got mine, or screw you,
Mm-hmm.
I got mine. I'm doing so bad on censoring myself,
That's all right. That's all right.
but
Um,
you get the point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to ramble.
no, I know. It's easier said than done, but it's like way more productive to uh try to make improvements for yourself and your immediate surroundings, your family,
Yeah,
your community, your close friends. Like I think people get, and this is as old as the internet itself now, but especially since like 2016, like people really want to brigade on the internet, and you forget so easily when you're online that none of that shit has, almost none of it has, sorry, none of that stuff has real world implications. I mean, people are actually in real life way nicer than you think. You know what I mean? They're way more understanding. There's just this really vocal population of people that are really mad at each other and at the world, and you'd think that the world is really angry and bitter right now, but most of that is on Twitter. I mean,
a
honestly.
lot of it though is like, because I was noticing this yesterday. I was Confucius mode yesterday. I was like
Uh-huh.
meditating. I was a monk. Um, but there's this like idea. Wait, what were we just talking about?
See, this is what it's all about, being a monkey.
You're one of those Chinese monkeys that they recently were able to give autism to, which is
How
another.
did that? I've never
I don't
I've
know,
not heard that.
but it's why are we giving monkeys autism?
Why? Let them be.
I
Just
want to
leave
do
them
a
alone.
comic about that of a guy like he has a theory of an animal like if we connect this car battery to this dog's testicles, we think shocking it with 1,000 volts will make the dog's mind evolve into more energy. And then they shock it, and the dog's screaming, and then the guy's like, "I think it just hurts the dog." And the other
Yeah, it's
scientist goes, "Write that down.
right.
Write that
Write
down."
that down. Write that down. Dude, I talking about just people arguing back and forth online. I literally, okay, like this, I've had to do this a few times where if I post something, it's on Instagram. For some reason on Instagram, my comics have been performing way better than they have been on Twitter, number wise. Like I don't know why, but just in the past month or so, they've been trending. So like a lot of the times that a comic doesn't really even do so hot, or it doesn't do so hot. Let's actually put it a different way. On Twitter, it feels like my comics, when I post them, don't leave my follower base, right? Like everybody who sees it is somebody who already follows me, which actually keeps the comments pretty tame. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I'm not growing, like I'm not seeing growth on
yeah.
Twitter so much recently. It is what it is. I mean, how much can you
I think
complain
it's the
about
blue
Twitter?
check thing. I mean,
I think it's a
he
blue
literally
check
said
thing.
it like
It's
you get deboosted.
I mean, it's seriously like I can't even complain because I think comparatively, like I mean, I think my drawings still perform well on Twitter, but I'm not seeing follower increasing
Growth,
on
yeah.
Twitter anymore. I literally have been sitting at where I'm at right now for like 3 months, like no growth,
God is
which is
allowing that
strange.
because if you pass me on both Instagram and Twitter, it's Jover
Well,
mentally.
on Instagram, meanwhile, I don't know what changed because it took me ages to even get break 10,000 followers on Instagram. Like to in the beginning, it was impossible. And now some switch got flipped in the Instagram, I don't know, algorithm or something about my account, and my comics are routinely like going crazy mode, like just getting hundreds of thousands of likes on there, which is amazing. I know that could stop at any moment, I'm sure, but for the
Never.
time being, it's amazing.
They say
But
if you're succeeding on the internet, it will continue forever and not to save money. That's like
yeah,
that's the main thing they
that's the
say.
way to do it. But what's interesting is that now Instagram is the place because I don't get as many people infighting or hater comments on Twitter anymore, which is unusual because that's where you're supposed to get this stuff because things reach outside of your immediately reach an audience that's not
Yeah,
yours,
drop
and
another
then
Banksy comment,
yeah,
comic, and
right,
get back to me.
and then somebody will say something, but for the time being, it's actually been pretty tame. But on Instagram now, I'll get comments. They're not nobody's hating. Like I don't get hater comments on it, but I
Was it like,
see
what is this?
No, it's more I see people fighting with each other in the comment section about something that's almost not even related to the comic, but
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah,
going
yeah.
back and forth. And it shows up in my Instagram like notifications. Like when I check my notifications, I'll see people fighting back and forth, and it'll be for weeks at a time. They will be going back and forth, just like, no, you're an idiot. And it's like, no, you're an idiot. I swear to God, like back and forth. And it's like, dude, I posted this 6 weeks ago. Like, you guys need to stop. But I usually don't like block anybody or like mute people because I'm like, yes, more engagement. I don't even care. If you're engaging with this, I don't even care. Just keep it going. But the rule of thumb is if I'm seeing you comment so much that it's annoying me, you have to be following me. Because if you don't follow me and you just keep coming back and you're spamming my notifications and you haven't even hit me with a follow, I'm blocking you. And that is going on right now. I posted that comic that was about the new Spider-Verse. Did you see the new Spider-Verse movie?
Not yet, but the one where he's holding
It's
the spider on the train? No, that's the old
that's
Spider-Man.
the old Spider-Man. I actually, yeah, I
What's
did
the new
another
one you did
Spider-Man.
where the punk Spider-Man takes the pictures?
The Punk Spider-Man does his
Okay,
like
okay.
emo photo shoot that and he's giving those. It was like a redux
The Peter Parker one you
of
did.
the Peter Parker one
Yeah.
that I did a few months ago. But I did it with this
Yeah, so
character Spider
you
Punk.
took a comic you had that was liked with white characters and then
And I
forced
redid
black
it
people into it.
into it. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you're not part of the problem you're saying or
Yeah, I'm not part of the problem.
okay. Yeah,
It
that's
actually
see, it's a little white genocide. I'm
it's
just
actually the first time in like months that I've had a comic like do really well on Twitter because for some reason on Twitter I think the only way to get numbers is if you do some if it's about something that is currently
current,
trending.
yeah, yeah.
It has to be a current event. It has to be trending. If you're just making some reference or you're doing something funny or it's just a lighthearted goof, nobody gives a shit. But if you talk about, you know, right wing, left wing, Elon Musk, Donald Trump
Bing
arrested,
bing bong.
new Spider-Man movie, then people just like they go crazy
Dude,
about it
if you
on
wanted it to
Twitter.
go crazy mode on Twitter, what you should have
Uh-huh.
done is drawn it exactly how you did, but in
Uh,
that final panel with the black Spider-Man, you should have left him looking exactly the same, but made his skin white. I guarantee your engagement would have
would have
been
gone way
monkey
the fuck up.
mode, baby.
I did just see something crazy that was like some chick posted like I just saw the new Little Mermaid and I wanted to make fan art of, you know, the Little Mermaid and she drew the Little Mermaid, but she now drew the Little Mermaid like white, like in her own style or whatever. And then people were freaking out and being like, you know, what the hell? Like, how dare you whitewash this movie? Like, why can't anybody just enjoy that there's a black character? Which you're like, okay, that's an overreaction. Which so that was funny. But then what happened was then that's the artist that posted that image. Somebody also caught her like liking like really racist comments
Right?
on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's like
Like she was like, I don't understand why everyone's mad. I just drew the character like how I picture her in my mind, and everyone was like, oh, okay, maybe we were a bit harsh. And then they checked her likes, and it was like, we need to genocide. And
dude,
I was like, what the
that's where
fuck?
I am with that type of shit because it's like it's funny. Like there was that one everyone got so mad at. That's like they drew the Black Panther, but it was a white guy. And it was like the new Black Panther, and it's like this
That's so
beautiful
stupid.
Aryan guy taking off the Black Panther mask.
Why would I
But it's
do
like
it?
that's kind of fun, and like you've seen that edit, I'm sure too, where it's like the new MLK movie, and it's like Ryan
And Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling, I
And it's
fucking
like, dude,
love
that
that
shit
shit.
makes me laugh, but it's like there's so many of these people, and it's so dude. This is why I had my big fucking freak out years ago because it's like there's so many people who it's like this is comedy, and then you talk to them, and it's like no, we do need to kill all N words. And it's
Literally.
like, bro, dude,
Okay.
you're such a poos
I was thinking
that
about
you
that.
like. Oh my
I've
god,
been thinking about that recently. That it's like it went from people doing edgy comedy and it being pretty obvious, and to it's really evolved that all of the like kids, I think that we're too young to understand any like irony in the edgy comedy are actual racist 16-year-olds now. Do you know what I mean?
But that's
And like
also part of, dude. That's why I'm just like, it's so dumb when we're canceling 15, 16-year-olds. When
you
they're
can't
on
cancel them, just like,
Xbox lobbies calling
oh
people the
yeah,
N-word, I promise you there's no there's obviously there's outliers. I've talked about this earlier, but for most of those kids, there's no like, we need to kill all blacks. It's like, I'm a 16-year-old. What can I say to this guy in the Call of Duty lobby that's going to make him very angry?
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, I don't know,
I don't
man.
know.
There's so many like, this is what I was talking about earlier with the Plato's Cave thing. If you're picking a team and choosing, it's like everything is needs, and it's impossible to do this in the real world, case by case for everything.
Hmm.
But in a just society, things would be case by case. You know what I mean? Like that thing
Sure.
with Vosh getting canceled the other day. He said the N word. Was he
What was that
calling
even
someone the?
about? There was somebody put together a whole thread of all of his like
It was some 10-year-old
discrepancies.
literal fucking brain damaged child. But
Okay.
it was all stuff like, there was some funny one he retweeted where it was like someone was like, they said something about like, I love kids, I'm a pedophile, and
Wait, he did
Vosh
Vosh
added the
retweet that?
I think he either
Because
commented or
I
retweeted it.
sent that one and said like, bro, this is the funniest
Sorry,
line.
I'm confusing that. Yeah, he
Oh,
didn't
I was
retweet it.
gonna say,
You
okay,
sent it to
okay.
me. You sent, but yeah,
Okay,
just
okay.
someone saying I'm pedophile and then Vosh adding the clapping emoji as
I know.
like, dude, that's so like,
They were pointing to that as evidence of him being like pro
so
pedophilia,
cringe.
but he was obviously it was like just him being stupid in the Discord, like somebody
Dude,
saying,
if I like the guy, like that should be evidence enough for some people that he's not this like deranged lefty pedophile that they see in his like, I don't
no.
know. But that's, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not a
he look.
trendsetter. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I can't like Vosh is a grown man. I'm not going to sit here and defend all of his like actions because he can do that
No,
himself,
his
right?
past haircut, I would not defend that ever. The fucking,
There you go.
the flippin'
Uh, uh,
wannabe Viking.
it's honestly part of the job that he's signed on for is that if you want to talk about politics on the internet, everyone is going to be looking at every single thing you do with a
And think you're a
very
pedophile.
watchful eye and accuse you of all kinds of crazy shit. So like I look, my all my experiences that every time we've talked to Vosh, when we text or something, when I was asking him about getting my stream set up, he's been nothing but generous, nice, helpful, present. Seems like a sweet guy. And does that mean that everything that he says online is is just totally without scrutiny? No, sure. People can probably point at things that he said. I mean, his political opinions, right? Some people are going to disagree with that and make assumptions about him based on that. But
Yeah, like
like,
my ex who thinks he's far right for some reason.
it's like, I mean, anybody. It's like, what is even the point of like posting a thread about canceling Bosch at this point? It's like he's such a polarizing figure at this point that like, who are you? Who are you going to convince? People who already like Vosh are going to look at this and be like, here we go, another thread about Vosh that is just somebody trying to hate on him. And people who hate Vosh are going to look at it and just be like, yeah, see, this is all the stuff that I already
This
knew.
is what's so funny though, and it's why it's like Vosh lives in hell in a way almost, but like
Yeah.
he's Jesus in the sense of the left is screwed in terms of relating to normal people. Like I'm assuming I'm gonna reference this comic, and you can tell me a racist guy drew it. I don't know who drew it, but he could be the most racist man on earth. It doesn't make the comic any less true.
Hmm.
But it's like a furry wearing a diaper, uh, a really strange looking trans woman with pink hair and a beard,
Okay.
and they're both like, and this other smelly guy who's like 1 foot tall, who's like, join us workers, let's unite workers of the world, and then it cuts to the worker, an average American who's just like I like, those types of people are not going to appeal to the real working class.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, Not to
I
say
mean,
there's not people with pink hair who are in the working class, obviously. But it's like, dude, Vosh is literally what the left needs. They need a manly type dude who's reasonable,
uh-huh.
who people can see, oh, not all leftists are weird, weenie goblin creatures, right?
Uh-huh.
And yet his own people, the left, who he's pretty much been sent as like a godsend, are like, this turd's too far right. He's
But
and it's like
that's been the problem that's been the problem with left wing online discourse since its inception. Basically, is that there's way too much infighting. Like that, I think part of the reason that I know we've talked about this before, but part of the reason that I think the right wing or that even Donald Trump won the election back in 2016 is because the 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 GOP and conservatives, they don't care if you're racist, if you're a felon, if you're insane, if you're moderate, if you're whatever. They're taking all comers. They do not care. Come on in. We don't care if you're just like a nice little old lady, or you're a clan member, or a crazy person on
or an
4chan,
old lady clan member.
or an old lady crazy clan member or whatever. Come on in. It does not matter. But meanwhile, the leftists love being like, you're not left enough because you said this, or you do
Right,
this, or
right.
you know what I mean?
I would
That's
argue
annoying.
the right is going through that
I
now,
think they
though.
are
At
going
least
through that now.
maybe not the rhinos, the old school right, but these online right are very
Yeah.
much going through that now. Like there were some huge figureheads. There's that guy with the Diddy Kong cap who House does not like.
I don't know who that is.
Lo-fi Republican, lo-fi Republican. Some one of these talking Republican heads. But I remember a year ago, people he was like, "This guy's a genius." Blah blah. Yeah, he's right, and he has some pretty far right ideals. Right. I'm not a. I don't know if I don't think I agree with the guy politically at all. But he like they found out his wife is Jewish, and it was he's a psyop. He's
Well,
breeding
that's
Jewish,
the
and it's
problem.
like, dude, this
That's the
guy
problem.
believes in everything you believe, but because he stuck his penis in a beautiful. It's like that guy. I was having a succulent Chinese meal. What's that? I was having sex with a succulent Jewish woman. What did I do? What did I
Yeah.
do?
No, I mean, that's the problem, is because now we're in the late stage of what I was just talking about, where they were taking all comers and they were like, yeah, you're in here, you're in the party. And now it's that, like, wait, you guys are actually racist, or you know what I mean? Or just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like it's
Which is
just
a classic. I mean,
it's true though. And too many of those people are truly uh, uh like insane people. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
But there's some that like I remember when I was freaking out about that shit and having my fucking meltdown. It was like there were a bunch of people I liked who were like, dude, you really think that about me? And it's like, dude, if you know you're good of heart and you're not racist, I'm not talking about you.
yeah.
Yeah? Like, there's people who, and I don't know if you have to get older to realize, but it's like, I'm not even that much older, but in college, there was this feeling of like, dude, none of these guys are racist. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And there's a good number of them who are literally just there to have fun. They're there to
Yeah.
make people laugh. Like, that's what I like. But then it's like, you do have these bad flipping people come in, and it's like they ruin it. It's like and they're like, why don't people do edgy humor anymore? Because
Yeah.
you're gonna show up and ruin my whole life and career because people are gonna assume that I'm like a wacko and not
Yeah.
making jokes.
No,
Like
it's
it's your
definitely
fault that there's no it's your fault. It's your fault that there's no stuff you like anymore.
yeah.
It's literally your fault. I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
you're probably not watching this if you're one of those people, but show
It's
them
not
this clip. It's
likely.
your fault. It's
Yeah.
you shitting your pants and now crying about it. It's like it's you shit your pants. My brother, you shit your pants. Like the subway thing.
But these people don't want to listen to reason. You know what I mean? They just
No, no.
that's what I mean though. It's like it's crazy. Oh, this is what I was gonna say about because it's all kind of ties together. I was talking about how I get these people fighting on Instagram now, and what happened was I posted that Spider-Man comic with Spider-Punk, who's black, and when I yeah no wait what? It's like the YMS podcast where after he mentions that he has a boyfriend, I just stare at the camera.
So catchy.
But I posted that one and it was doing well. And then of course I started getting comments from people who don't follow me. And one of them was somebody was like, "Oh, they made a degenerate Spider-Man or something like that." Now, okay, here's the thing. Then people were like, "What the hell do you mean by that, dude?" You know what I mean? Like just going off on him. And if you click on his profile, it's like a 16-year-old Indian kid. Like it's like Not, I don't mean Indian American, like a kid from India who's
Dude,
just like commenting,
Indian
like,
kids are the top
which is
class at
like,
everything.
yeah, like,
Editing, racism, starting race wars. It
I'm
is
just like,
insane how specked out
it's
Indian
so
people are.
funny, but it's like, so anyway, so now what happened was somebody responded. Also, I posted that comment like 2 weeks ago, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's old now. I am still getting now, not from that kid who posted that. There was somebody else who was like, why do you have to come in here and say something like that? That's messed up. But I'm trying not to curse, but like, I'm paraphrasing basically and just all this stuff. And like, and then these other people just like, he just said it because he's a punk. It's not because he's black. You're making that up. Which it's like, I don't know if that's true. Is that
All right.
really what
I mean,
you're
hey,
thinking? I
if you
mean,
were
it
a
could
lawyer,
be.
if you were a lawyer,
If
you'd
you're a
be
lawyer,
paid
you
money
could
for that.
convince me. I could be,
That's
oh
not,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't
all
know. I
right, all
do.
right.
I still think probably that's not what he was insinuating in
No,
the
you
first
know it, it
thing.
would be like that thing where the chick everyone thought they were being too mean and she's liking all the N-word posts.
Right.
Right,
But
like
now,
yeah.
right, exactly. But now the problem is this person who tried calling out the other kid for being racist is showing up so much. They have commented back and forth no less than 50 times with other people fighting under this comment. And I'm getting notifications every single time they post, and they don't even follow me. And so it's like
Well, wait a minute.
this type.
You don't have your
What's that?
notifications on for
I don't
Twitter.
have it like my phone buzzes, but if I
Oh,
go
okay,
onto
okay.
Instagram and
Yeah,
I
yeah, okay.
open
I
up
was
my
just making sure,
notifications,
just
I
making sure.
see all of their messages and they'll be replying to three different people, like paragraphs, like at a time, seconds
Less than a
apart,
minute, less than a minute.
less than a minute. And so I'm like, this is the type of behavior that's annoying because on a surface level, I agree with you, but you're being
Annoying. Yes,
annoying. Like you're
yes.
being a baby and you're being
Well,
annoying
that's the
and you're
problem
not
with the
handling
left.
it.
On the
That's the
surface, you
problem.
do agree with them,
I
but then
agree
it's
with what you're
like
saying.
you're so annoying.
It's very annoying.
You're
And
so
I
annoying.
haven't muted them because I like the engagement, but it's starting to piss me off.
You're a sicko. You're a sicko.
I gotta like pull up some of the messages because out of context, they just are like what? They're like,
Yeah, this guy's standing up for black people in my comments, and I'm so sick of it,
I'm
dude.
ready to I'm gonna block them. They're literally oh my god, it's so much. Ickbook.
Ekbok, Bug Bunny. Dude, I
My
still
mom
think
bought
about
me
it.
new Ekbook.
Dude, I think I've already mentioned this, but in Saudi, we'd go to the mess hall
Uh-huh.
and
And then
it,
you go in there and they're like, clean this up. Clean this mess up.
clean this mess up, bitch. No, it was they had a big bowl of porridge, but the template on it was written by an Arab guy and it said oats meal. Like
Oatmeal.
OATS apostrophe S meal, like oats
Dude,
meal.
that the Chinese place that I'm always going to that I'm always telling
The
you about that's near
Szechuan, you
me.
sicko.
Oh my God,
Sick
it's
addiction.
so fucking
You're
good.
yelling at me for my Coke addiction. You're clearly
No, that
addicted to the
Szechuan
Szechuan
is
chicken.
crazy. I wish I had a picture on my phone to tell you exactly what it is, but they have the menu outside like of their like weekly specials, and every single one is spelled wrong. Like they're all spelled slightly wrong. It's like it says like instead of cucumber, it says like cucumber. Like
Cucumber.
so like
Cucumber.
just like everything is not quite right. Or it says like chimkin and rice. And
Chimkin.
and
Dude, I
I'm
always
like,
wonder, like,
that
why
stuff.
can't, how, I feel like it'd be such a good paying job and so easy to just, like, go into all these restaurants and be like,
And just tell
give me
them
50
like you
bucks
need
and
to
I'll
fix
fix
this.
everything.
Well, the amazing part is everything being like if it was handwritten, that's one thing, but like typing something, well, I guess that'd be weird too if you hand wrote something with a typo, that'd be like a righto. But like when you're typing something, it's gonna put a red squiggly line under it. Like it's gonna tell
But
you
to the Chinese, that's a sign of respect.
okay.
So they're
Because I
seeing that
always
and
wonder when I see that, I'm like, you had to either blatantly ignore, because either it's going to autocorrect on its own. Like if I just type chimkin on my computer, it's going to correct to chicken. Or even if you just got the red squiggly line, you had to blatantly ignore that, which is just funny
but
to
they
me.
don't,
But
they probably have like a Chinese word that they're used to.
I mean, who am I to judge, dude? That food there is absolutely God mode, like incredible. So I don't care how they spell it, man.
Dude, why?
It's
Yeah, you're gonna go in
amazing.
there and have everything get fixed, and then the food quality is just gonna
It sucks.
drastically plummet because
It
the words are
sucks.
spelled right.
I saw somebody on Instagram or something. I think my girlfriend sent to me, which perfectly described this Chinese restaurant because when you go to this Chinese restaurant, the food unbelievable, the service horrible. Like if you actually
That's just
sit
how it
there,
is. Yeah.
you don't see like the waiter won't come around for the first 15 minutes at least. And then even once you get your drinks, you don't see them. And then if you get your food, God forbid you actually want to pay and leave, you will never see your waiter again. And I I saw this video of a like Chinese American guy that was talking about how he's has a working theory that like the best Chinese food place in your area, if you're looking it up on like Google or whatever or Yelp, it's gonna have 3.5 stars. And the reason is because
The
the food
service.
is really good, but all of the like, like white people that live in town are gonna be like, the service here is garbage, but actually
Dude,
it's a Chinese thing in restaurants. They're not expected to like check in on you the way an American
no.
waiter
Yeah,
does.
dude,
Yeah.
there's a spot that's just like this in LA, Daft showed me. And it's like famous with Chinese people.
Mhm.
Americans, and it does, I think it has like a 3 or a 4, but it's the
That's
best
also how
Chinese
you know a
food.
place is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
but dude, the best Chinese food I've ever had. But when we got there, dude, disgusting hole in the wall. Like
oh
literally
yeah.
not even a restaurant. There's a hole in a wall.
Oh
They
my
give you
God.
your food through. There's no menu. You have to point at what you want and know what it is. And we're standing in line, kind of like, I'm a little not skeeved out, but I'm kind of like scared. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm entering
Yeah.
the soup Nazis restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And there's these two really gay white guys behind us who like, this looks disgusting. I would never even let my dog eat here. Why are we waiting? And they left, and I was like, I was starting because we've been waiting a little bit, and I was starting to be like,
Yeah.
maybe they had the right point. I put that food in my mouth. I became homophobic
Oh
based on
yeah.
based on how those two gay guys were acting. It was the best shit I have
Oh
ever
yeah.
shoveled into my body, dude.
Yeah,
It was
dude. I
so good.
It is crazy. Those hole in the wall places are it's so important to patronize them too because those are the ones that in a blink of an eye they could be gone because if they don't get enough
Well,
people eating there,
I'd
you never
argue
know.
they don't need your patronage because the entire if it's one of these spots
Oh,
I'm
the
thinking
entire
like
Chinese population
is
of
there.
your
Yeah.
area
Like
is
dude,
there.
that nice
Yeah.
uh I forget the name she used on the podcast. Kim Saki. That lovely Korean woman showed me this Korean restaurant where like
Korean food is so
there's
amazing,
no
bro.
Americans, dude. There's no Americans at the restaurant. And it's this thing
Really.
called Hung Bat, which is funny because usually when I
Hung
look up
bat
Hung Bat, I'm looking for Rouge
for
food or
Rouge.
porn. Um,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
this
good.
delicious soup, but just only Korean people. And it was like, yeah, I've been there 2 or 3 times during rush, and like hundreds of people came in and out. No,
Uh-huh.
no Americans. So
Amazing.
if
Amazing.
it's an actual ethnic approved place, like the ethnic people are gonna be eating there, and that's how you
That's
tell
how
it's
you
good.
know.
That's
That's
how
how
you
you
know
know
it's
it's
good,
goaded.
bro. Yeah.
There's a oh my God, first of all, when I was just in I was just visiting New York, I went with my buddy to K-Town, like to Koreatown, which is so fresh. Like it's just like it's literally first of all, it was actually the only time during this visit that I was overwhelmed by how many people were around me. Like it was just lit up. Like there was so many people in the streets, on the sidewalk. You just were like muscling your way down the block, but every single store was either a shop for some really strange novelty Korean, either like we went walking through the K-pop store, which was all of this memorabilia, calendars,
Panties.
and also like these like it would be like 200-page long hardcover book memoirs, like photo memoirs of a random member of a K-pop group that I've never heard of, and there was literally like stacks and stacks, like every K-pop group, every individual member of that group had a photo book like just like that you could buy, like, oh, my favorite K-pop
Yeah.
person is Sujin and I'm gonna buy this book that's like all of their, like,
You
you know
know
what I
too
mean,
much about this.
dude, it's
A
fucking,
little
it's a little insane. I actually don't understand, I don't understand K-pop really. I don't understand the
well,
fanaticism
it's
that
just
surrounds it.
well, I guess I don't either because
I
even
don't
with
get it really.
our version of it would be like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, but well, no, I guess there were chicks who like, oh, Lance is my favorite,
Yeah, like
but it
it
was
no
never
it,
like a. Maybe I was just too young to understand that it was the same kind of phenomenon. My
Dude,
dad used to play the Backstreet Boys, bro. He loved it.
yeah, it's just interesting that it's like it's almost like Korea saw what America was doing with boy bands, and they were like, oh, well, not to say America didn't really invent the boy band, but I think they kind of modernized the boy band. And then Korea saw what they were doing, and they were like, oh, let's do that. But let's just like churn out like a bunch of them because this can be
Yeah.
like a primary
Well,
export
that's
for
what
us.
like I don't know. I'd love your opinion on this. Am I being racist when I say this?
What's that?
Unironically, it does seem Asian countries, and each one has their own specialty. China, Japan, Korea. I'm not at all implying they're similar, but they have a really good knack at taking technology or an idea,
Hmm.
and some would argue making it better, but at least Asiafying it
Well,
to them, because
I
they do
think
that
a
with a like military weapon
uh-huh.
tech. They do it with like tech, proprietary tech, movies. I mean, dude, this is really cool. There was that whole phase in Japan where like jazz was popping off because of
Uh-huh.
like Frank Sinatra type stuff, and it kind of influenced streetwear. It
Yeah.
influenced the bars, and it's like
Yes.
I think some people look down on Asian countries for doing that. They view them as thieves, but they really do make it their own in
No,
a
they
way. In my
definitely
eyes, it's not
do.
theyft. It's like a remix. It's like
No,
they're
and
coming in, they're like Pitbull.
I think they do. I think that's true, and I think that I mean, obviously, there's a ton of culture that does rise out of there that nobody
Yeah,
else
of
is doing
course,
in the
of
world.
course, of
But
course.
I think to your point, I think a big part of that is because a lot of those countries are really insular. Like Japan is an island. China, there's not. There's really no information coming or going from there, right? Everything is very like homegrown because of the way that it's designed, like
Yeah,
culturally and politically. I've heard that Korea, I've never been to South Korea.
it's
I've never been to
awesome,
any of these
dude. It's
countries.
awesome.
I've heard that it's the most Western of like any of the Asian countries, that apparently like socially it's a lot more
Well, I'd
like
argue,
progressive and youthful, but I don't
yeah,
know if that's actually true.
I would argue. Well, you know what? It's almost above and beyond West. It's what the West wishes it could be. So maybe you're right. Korea is the most Western, but Singapore is like what the West wishes it could be based on when I
Really.
was there. Yeah. Now it's a little, of course, with that comes the implication of like whether you want to get into whether the America wishes it was more authoritarian like
Uh-huh.
Singapore, but Singapore is like every blade of grass manicured beautifully. It's like the New York City style setup in some areas. Everything's beautiful.
Wow.
They have like very weird laws. Like you can't chew gum in public because
Really?
the assumption is where are you going to throw it? The ground.
Interesting.
So we're just going to bite that in the butt. You're
That
not
you
supposed to chew
cannot
gum in
do it.
public. It's not a crazy fine. I think it's like $100 if you get caught. Um,
Wow.
but yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's interesting. But I think that is partly why some of those cultures end up turning making things their own, or like creating the next logical evolution of it, is because I think some really funky stuff happens. I mean, obviously a lot of really funky stuff happens culturally, like in America, because there's a lot of diversity, right? There's a lot of people
Melting
coming and
pot.
going. It's a melting pot. So our main export, honestly, is like, I think, music, movies, right? Like a lot of like entertainment comes out of the US, and a big part of that is because it's such a melting pot. But I think there's a lot of stuff there's something to be said for countries that are a lot more just like xenophobic is the wrong word, but just kind of like in their
I
own
don't think it
space.
is. I don't think it is a
I
wrong word. I think
I think some of that. I mean, I know that like Japan has a bad rap for being extremely
I
xenophobic,
was
and
gonna
that
say
they're
because they
very
have
like,
like a you could definitely label them xenophobic. Like
yeah,
I think their immigration policy is like six. I think they
six.
allow six immigrants a year. Like if
That's
you're
insane.
fleeing,
That's
I Cold Cuts crew, do a little math. Figure
there's,
out the
I'm
correct
sure
answer,
there's
but
some research you
it's
could do for that,
something
but
very low like
yeah,
that. Like you
but
definitely
I
could
think,
accuse them. But dude, here's the main question. I'd love your opinion.
uh-huh.
Is the proof of how the Japanese society functions in terms of societally now whether or not you want to talk about the birth rate, that's a completely different story, is
Uh-huh.
because of how they function. Is that a case for the US perhaps becoming more xenophobic?
I would say no. I mean, I think that I don't have any familiarity with I've never been to Japan either. So I've never lived out there. We would probably have to have a Japanese person on to actually like we could actually analyze the differences. But I mean, here's the thing: like, there's a lot of other kooky stuff that's going on in Japan. Kooky is maybe not the right word for it, but it's like they have the highest suicide rate of any country, right?
Right.
Their birth rate is extremely low. A lot of the young people are just not interested in hooking up or having boyfriends or girlfriends or anything. And also the work culture, I mean, drives people to their graves because everything the like you're
We
literally
almost
exiled by your family if you like quit your
we
job
almost
out there.
curse them with that. And this is a YOLO thing. I'm pulling it out of my ass. It could be completely wrong.
Uh-huh.
But they're this blessing that they were blessed with, okay? Say this is I'm not going to use a food analogy. I'm using a Sid
Uh-huh.
Meier's Civilization Revolution reference. So, the maps, the boards are all starting out, Japan's starting. They have this perk of taking any country's culture or exports and making it their own and better.
Uh-huh.
With that came them seeing our work life, this American dream thing. And I really think that's why they're so messed up right now is they took that concept and did what they do, made it
Uh-huh.
their own, improved upon it in their own way. And because it really is like our culture cranked up to 10, the whole bootstrap thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you crank that up to 10 and it's like you can't miss work, you miss work, you're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Your company fails, you're a failure. Your stocks are down, you're a failure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's literally the next, it's like um capitalism on crack
Yeah, it's a little bit
almost.
out of control. And I mean, you get some people who are literally top of their game, masterclass. I mean, globally, the best at what they do are people that are coming out of Japan, right? You've
Yeah.
got like Jiro Ono, the sushi restaurant, which is like the greatest in the world. You've got
Overrated.
have you been there?
No,
Have you
but
been there? You
no, I
know
have
it's
not been there,
overrated.
but I have heard, listen,
You've heard that it's
I've
overrated.
heard it's overrated. I guess I'm talking out of my ass, but I've heard people go there and it's like, but with how hyped that's been, I mean, how could it ever live up? Like
I
I've
mean,
seen
yeah,
people
it's
like, dude, it
like
was just fish, and it's like that's well, yeah,
I
it
think it's
is,
the
but
only it's like the only sushi Michelin star restaurant or something like that. Maybe not anymore, but I think for a long time it was. And then you've got like, you know, fucking Miyazaki. Like I'm just talking people that are like public,
well,
like
that's another
global
one, right?
phenomenon
Like
figures. Like
he
these are people that are
he
I
saw
mean,
Disney,
right.
and this is a one where I'd say he did make it better.
Yeah,
Like they
it's
took
all
Disney
hits,
and
no
made it better.
misses.
Yeah.
It's literally like he's
And
never missed once.
that's what anime is. They were inspired by Disney
Uh-huh.
or prototype Disney's and that cuz animation,
Uh-huh.
and that's why like their starting animations have that Disney quality like Astro Boy. One of the
Uh-huh.
earlier anime or mangas, I always forget the different term, but it's like such a chibi Disney
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Which
to
is
interrupt what you're
cool.
talking
No,
about.
no, yeah, you're not interrupting. But then on the flip side, right? So that's part of I think Japan being a bit isolationist, right? And also having this expectation. Like that's what their culture has ironed out is some people that are at the top of their game in a very small country. You know what I mean? It's populated, but it's a little island compared to like, you know, I like a country that's as massive as the US, like just geographically, like how much
Yeah.
land we have. I mean, I think you could point to this really small country and be like, look, there's a bunch of guys over here that are doing it better than any individual over here. But the other thing is that like I think that in the US, like if we were to be more isolationist, I think that the people who are some of the not this is not to generalize, but I think some of the people that are the most unhinged are the people that are the most isolated. I actually think that being in a place with a community of different people is really healthy for the mind. And I think people that are like stuck in a really like insular spot in the US are the kind of people that kind of like go cuckoo.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm not talking I'm more like maybe I misunderstood you, but when I'm saying should we become more xenophobic or more isolated, I don't mean like should an individual go into the woods
Well,
alone.
no,
I'm
no, but I
implying
mean that as a small, I'm saying that as like a microcosm of a larger thing that I think that I don't think it would be good for the collective conscious to to be more isolationist, like to not. I think. I mean, look, there's obviously reasons like that, like economically, right? That people want to say that we shouldn't be allowing too many immigrants in, but there's also people that just don't want that have racist reasons for not
Yeah,
wanting
of
other people
course, of
in,
course.
right? There's like two different issues, but I'm not educated enough to tell you what's the right answer exactly, but
This might
I
be a
would
Vosh question.
maybe an interesting question for
Although I feel
Vosh.
like he would have a left bias. You know what I mean? Slightly.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it's like an interesting conversation. I certainly don't have the answer, but I also feel like, and this is not to say that there can't be like improvements done to the American like system. Obviously, there are things that I think should change for the better, but like, I think it's very helpful to look at it would creep me out to feel like our country was becoming more like another country. I think it's actually really healthy when all I want all countries to live in harmony, of course, but also I think it's like interesting and probably for the greater good that Japanese policy or Singaporean policy or Chinese or Brazilian or US, like everybody has a different like culture. You know what I mean?
I
Like a
like that too, and it's funny because this is another. You inadvertently bring up alt right talking points, which is always so funny because it's always
but we were joking on the phone earlier. I have to splice in that you are the one who always knows that it's like and
right.
all I it's
Yes,
like I who like
yes.
but
I'm
that's
able
also
to
the
point them out because of that. Yes.
but the reason that these alt-right talking before you even say what it is, sorry, I don't want to
No, no,
step
no,
on your
no, no.
toes, but it's like the reason that these alt-right talking points even exist, the reason that it's even a talking point is because you're looking at some piece of a deranged ideology that actually makes sense, which is where it's like
Yeah, it always
sprouted
starts with
from.
a nugget
It
of
starts with something
truth.
that makes sense, and
Yeah,
then
and
people
then it
just
gets
and then it gets out of
transformed. But
control,
that
right?
whole idea of like Japan for the Japanese, blah for the blah, blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
I like that idea because there is in America's proof of you can have a melting pot type society and still create cool stuff with while being unique.
Uh-huh.
But that would to me it would be a shame if the world became this global country and
No,
we're
it'd be
all one.
creepy.
Yeah, it's like I just don't like it inherently. And maybe, I'm sure that Vosh or someone might argue, maybe I'm scared or I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but the thought of each country being able to, like but then again, this obviously comes with problems. For instance, Saudi for the Saudis, is it right? Like we're every country should be able to make their own rules and have their own beliefs, but is it right for this country to hate gay people or want Jewish people to die? If we're allowing every country to have their own concept and identity, how can we tell this other one how to behave? But then again,
Yeah.
but then obviously we should, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't think a country should be able to just be killing gays and Jewish people. Like it, and if we were to let them keep doing that, we'd obviously have to okay, we're not homies. We're not
Yeah.
gonna deal with you and shit, which would be another big issue because we need the oil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, dude, the world is a very complicated place, and it's obviously, I think there are there are countries that have such insane backwards, but it's like, you look at some of the things that are happening where they show you like how horrible life is for people in China. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, and it's because it's because of the communist policies that have a really low quality of life for a lot of like impoverished people in that country. But what's the right answer? Are we going to go to war with China to save all of these people deserve a better quality of life? But what are we logically going to do about it? You know what I mean? Like
Right,
what as
because
an
going to
American country?
war to save the quality of life for, say, these Chinese people, that means you're going to be ruining the quality of life for tons of people here. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? There's going to be mothers who don't get to see their kids again because they're freeing another country, and
Yeah.
that stuff obviously there's a balance. Like World War II, we lost so many great men, but in the end, it was for freedom or whatever you
Right.
want to say it was for, and yeah, it's very
What was
complicated, bro.
it is complicated, but I mean that like the Vietnam War, like us losing that war was a really big shift, I think, culturally. I think a lot of people went from being really gung-ho and patriotic about the idea of war to being, really anti-war, and then all over again with like, you know, now we had this terrorist attack 9/11, and then okay, let's go to war in Iraq with a country that wasn't actually responsible, right, for it, because and everybody kind of bought into it in the beginning because they were mad about the terrorist attack. But look how that turned out. Now we're like
Yeah.
pulling troops out of Afghanistan, and then and
Dude,
none of it mattered, and it was crazy.
you need to watch. You got to catch up on the list I keep giving you, okay? First of all,
Okay,
Saving Private
Saving Private
Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, that's
This
at
is
the
the
top of the
best
list.
documentary I've ever seen about the human condition, man. But I got to just bring
Okay,
it up. You really need to watch this. Anyone listening, please watch this. I think you can rent
okay,
it on Amazon for $5. It's called The Act of Killing,
okay,
and it's about the Cambodian genocide, but it's so interesting. So there's still people who to this day were involved in the Cambodian genocide that are alive,
okay.
who like aided in it. Okay, so they tell this guy he was a general or punk who worked for Pol Pot or something and killed a bunch of Cambodians,
Uh-huh.
hundreds of Cambodians, killed them himself. And they get in contact with him and say, "We want to make you a movie star. We want to make a movie about your life. Can we fly to Cambodia to interview you?"
Uh-huh.
So that's the premise. So they fly in, and this is all real, by the way, documentary. And they fly in, and this guy's he seems like a normal, cool guy, and he's so excited. You'll make a movie about me. Oh, this is going to be cool, And
Yeah.
he's interacting the scene, and then you see what the director's doing, but they okay, let's interact this scene where you killed this guy, but you play the guy that's getting killed, and they're
Yeah.
doing this stuff, and you're seeing this guy, and you're watching this man slowly realize that he took the life of hundreds of kids,
Jesus,
women,
man.
and that it ends. It's so powerful. Spoiler warning if you're going to watch it. Skip ahead 5 minutes, okay? But it ends with this guy on the roof, and he's showing them where he strangled, where the actual killing took place, where he strangled them. All
Uh-huh.
his tools are still up there 10 years later, 20 years later. And something finally breaks in him where he realizes what he did, and the documentary, it's so powerful, bro. It just ends with him on the roof looking at what he's done, and there's like blood stains and stuff, and he just starts dry heaving for like 5 minutes,
Jesus
and you're just
Christ.
watching this old guy dry heaving,
Oh my God.
realizing what he did. Dude, it is so powerful, and you guys should check it out. I mean,
Dude, that
I
that's
can't stress how amazing of a documentary it is, dude. I
oh
hate
my
to use the word,
God.
I use the word powerful ironically a lot, but it's very
Very
powerful.
powerful. Dude, I saw did you ever watch a documentary Restrepo? Did you ever watch that one?
Mm-mm.
If you want a crazy war documentary, it's this. Okay, so here's the how I'll bill it. The guy who directed it, he's a photojournalist. This guy named Tim Hetherington, a British guy. He was he made this documentary film in 2010 about the war in Afghanistan, where he went with these US soldiers to this it was this outpost called Restrepo that was right at the it was between a gully, or on one side of a gully between like separating them, like the American troops, from the Afghanistan
What do you mean a gully,
troops.
like a mountain range, or it's
Like it was a
a
mountain range.
deep?
Like they're at the it's like a valley. Like
Oh,
they're at the
okay,
top
okay,
of it,
yeah.
and then on the other side, and they're literally just shoot like constant gunfire. They're literally it's just like this shack at the top of a mountain, and it's constant. But they basically are like staying here for like 6 months, and this guy, Tim Hetherington, is filming the guys while they're there, like literally interviewing them and filming them while they're in combat, and you're just seeing what's going on. And this guy Tim Hetherington, first of all, unbelievable war doc, like the most crazy, like in your face war documentary I've ever watched. And this guy, the photojournalist who directed it, the next year was filming like a follow-up sort of documentary that was like really similar, and died because he was in combat. He got shot.
Damn.
He is that in there. Like he is right
Yeah.
there. And some of the guys that they're interviewing die, you know what I mean? And then there's some stuff that's after the fact, they're back in America, or at least off of the front lines, and they're interviewing the guys, and they're totally like changed men, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's almost not exactly like it's not even a cut and dry like anti-war documentary because it's also the on a more recent viewing watch that I did of like it I realized it's also like just analyzing like the crazy sort of like brotherhood that you also
Form. Yeah. I
form with
mean,
these
yeah.
guys. Like it's crazy. Like the way that they all talk about each other and their like situation out there. Some of them I think haven't come to terms with it, and it's just an
Dude,
insanely powerful
a
documentary.
realistic good documentary like you're talking about and the one I talked about is they make it clear like even this guy who's realizing he's done bad,
Uh-huh.
you see that there were reasons he got into the business that seemed justified, you know, whether he was scorned or blah blah blah. Like a real documentary that's really taking a slice of the world, you do see things are gray.
Yeah.
There's things are slightly gray than you think because that dude, not to bring up the alt-right talking points again, but there's this idea of like uh there's like, oh, George R. R. Martin is a hack because all of his characters are like, I may be good, I may be bad, but someone like not J.K. Rowling, who's the Lord of the Rings guy?
Tolkien.
Tolkien, yeah, someone like J.R. Tolkien is or whatever it is. Tolkien is a genius because there is good and evil, and it's
Hmm.
like, yes, there are people out there who are inherently good. There are people out there who are inherently bad. But you are so stupid if you think life is a children's storybook, like the majority of
No,
far right
yeah.
people. Like you really think your enemies are going to be walking around in like a suit that says like, "I'm evil."
No,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm evil. It's like,
I
dude, your concept of the world is like that of a baby monkey.
Yeah, I think the actual number of like truly evil people in the world is actually pretty low. I think like most of it you can just chalk up to people being really self-interested and
Selfishness, yeah.
not existing outside of their
Like
own.
Hillary not taking the phone call that caused a bunch of innocent Americans to be killed. Like probably didn't realize that was going to happen, but she was sleepy.
She was
You
a
know,
little
she was a little
eepy.
eepy. Yeah.
I was eepy. Did you see that she was plugging a hat did you see that shit? Did you
No.
see
What did
that?
it say?
Dude, she was plugging a hat that she like a there was a photoshopped image of her, but her account posted it that you could buy a hat that said, "But what about her emails?" or something like that. And she was trying to like turn it into merch as like an own to the haters or something. And it
This
was
reminds me,
all the comments were like, "Honey, delete this. Like, what
dude,
are
this
you
this
doing?
literally sounds like the Jeb Bush guacamole bowl that he was
Like,
selling on his website
what?"
for like $200. Like, yeah, I want a
Like,
Jeb Bush guacamole bowl, you fucking
there is something so deeply satisfying about watching an old, crusty politician who is so out of touch with what the common human is like try
well, dude,
and whiff so hard to like relate to people.
that's why I loved watching Michael Bloomberg. Okay, because his like I don't know if I sent you the clip, but he's like at this place called Big Gay
Wait,
Ice Cream, and
wait, we're about to run out of time also. Like,
we'll thank the
okay,
guys
okay,
on the
okay.
next thing. But he's
Okay.
you know he goes to this Big Gay Ice Cream place, and it's like him awkwardly in front of the camera with the ice cream. Mmm, I love Big Gay Ice Cream, and it's like, dude, you're giving me Uncanny Valley vibes
Yeah,
right now
this
with
is
how
so
fake of a
weird.
human you're trying to act like. Like,
And remember
please.
that fucking Hillary Clinton like hot sauce in my bag thing when she was
That
on
was,
like
and they're
Hot
like, it wasn't
97?
staged. It wasn't staged. And it's like, dude, you might as well have pulled a bucket of KFC out and acted like you were
Like
trying to vibe with
literally,
black
like
people. Like, what were you
like it was
doing, dude?
so unhinged, so out of place. People saw through it
Dude, you know, if
immediately.
Hillary had a
It
drop of
lost her the
hot sauce,
election.
if she had a drop of hot sauce, she would die.
She
She
would turn
would
to
literally
dust.
die. Yeah.
Literally turn to dust. Yeah, and they would have to wheel out her clone like Hillary 427.
Woo, woo. Anyway,
Travis. I also love the clip of Hillary Clinton walking on stage. I don't know when it was for. It was for one of her rallies, and she's walking on stage, and they're just playing that one song that's like, "This is my fight song. Take back my life song. This is
prove
my."
them all wrong, son.
Like,
Da-da-da.
I fucking love that clip. I love that song. I just love it. I love everything about it. I really love
God.
something about these really old, doughy politicians. like and with music playing behind them is always funny because Donald Trump also when he's walking on the plane with "Hold Me Closer,
Hold Me
Tiny Dancer,"
Closer is
it
so
gives that
good.
is such a good moment.
So
And
good,
I
dude.
love this new clip of Trump that's trending. That's gonna be it's an instant classic where he's like, "I did everything right and they indicted me." I
He's like doing
love
a
it.
weird
He's
voice. It's
being
so
so.
funny.
I wish I could do a Trump. He's so funny. Anyway,
We got some we're about to do a little Vosh episode.
we are.
Woo!
Woo!
All right, I want to
Oh,
thank
go ahead. Say it.
Gzan,
Yes.
Trashbinz,
Woo.
Rap Pew Pew,
Let's go.
T Stilly, Snake
Yo.
Oiler Man,
Yup.
Snake Oiler Woman,
Yup.
Shrek the Third,
Yup.
Conga Heli,
Let's go.
Protagon, who's new,
Let's get it.
Protista. Do we have Protagon and Protista?
Two pros.
Woo. Gwyn, Coin Plant, Shalom Guy, Bugs on My Wee Wee, Owen, and a giant hairy spider. And I also want to say
No, Owen is not right. Big Tasty.
Big Tasty. Wait,
I might not say it right on the Patreon, but I know for a fact that they want to go by Big Tasty.
I updated it. Why?
Did you say Big Tasty?
No, but I had already updated it, but it's not updated. Huh. Oh, you know what? I read the wrong one.
No.
No. All right, give me a sec. Cold Cuts. Pookie 1 is the one I'm looking for.
Pookie
There we
one.
go. I found it. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, do the list all over again.
Gzan, Trashbinz, Rap Pew Pew, T Stilly, Snake Oiler Man, Snake Oiler Woman, a giant hairy spider, triple exec,
Triple
Shrek the
exec.
Third, Conga Heli, Protista, Gwyn, Coin Plant, Shalom Guy, Bugs on My Wee Wee, and Big Tasty. So we
So
had it
based.
almost all right.
So based.
I'll bleep out my man's name. And also
You got
one of
Protagon in there too? That's the new
and
one.
Protagon, the new one. And I
Protagon's in
do
there
want to
too.
give a special shout out. We do one of our patrons. He's going through some stuff right now. I just want to slam dunk Cosmos. You're in our
We love
thoughts.
you.
We love you, bro. And
Love you, buddy.
yeah, I hope things get a little easier for you, brother.
Everybody send some love his way.
Send some love to our boy Slam Dunk. He's if you guys are big in the Discord, you guys probably already talking to him. He's a good guy.
Yes. Good guy.
Everyone in there's a good guy, dude.
I
love you
freaking
guys.
love it.
Anything else, Chief?
I think that's it. Well, this is gonna okay. In as the assumption that this is a YouTube video, we might as well just real quick say if you would like to join the Patreon, we have a phenomenal community over there, and we'd love
Oh
to
yeah,
have
swing
you.
by. We'd love to.
So we'll see you there.
Well,
That's
I
it.
also, I don't even think you needed to mention that because we did get a voicemail from
Oh yes, I forgot
President
about that.
Trump recently.
I forgot about that.
Let me play
Very
that.
excited.
Let me play that right here.
Hello, Cold Cuts fans. This is your pal Donald Trump. You need to go to the Patreon, okay? It's a great deal. I know one of the boys is Italian or something, I think. But just trust me on this one. It's a great deal. You're gonna have a good time.